Hey, everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. We're going to do big picture because, man, there is a lot to dissect from this Dynamite episode that just happened post Double or Nothing. Um, an all-time great opening segment. Hangman Adam Page showing why he is the guy. You had Swerve Strickland continuing his dissension and, playing up the stuff that happened in Dynasty. And then obviously Will Ospreay trying to play Peacemaker. That's the story that they're going to tell for the next 6-7 weeks. That's all fine and good. And it also tells me, hey, if Hangman doesn't win, this company's cooked. And then from then on, this show proceeded to go off of a cliff. After that first 15, 20 minutes, this was one of the worst episodes of Dynamite I've ever seen. It was one of the worst episodes. There was some good wrestling on this show. Like, admittedly, there was some good wrestling. I mean, yeah, hey, a trios tag match with Gabe Kidd, John Moxley, and Marina Shafir beating Mark Briscoe, Mike Bailey, and Willow Nightingale. Marina Shafir almost dropping Mike Bailey on his head. One of several botches that happened on this show. Yes, good wrestling, but a lot of reckless maneuvers that almost got people seriously hurt. And there were a lot of people that were banged up after Double or Nothing. So taking all of these risks, it just, come on, like, what are we doing? But yeah, and then the typical Death Riders nonsense that, results in a win. Typical chaotic trios match. You get the no DQ match, which was basically a rehash of the match that happened on the premium, I'm calling it premium live, but on the pay-per-view buy-in. Anna Jay and Harley Cameron taking on Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. Anna Jay and Harley Cameron both suffered broken noses in this match. Harley Cameron's looked bad. She went straight into the steps and was bleeding profusely. Anna Jay got dropped right on a chair that looked brutal. Like, there was botches all over the place in this match, and like, it was just so many risks of people getting hurt, and probably 2 women getting their noses broken. Silver lining here, you showcase your women, and that's fine in doing hardcore stuff. But man, you've got to be safer, man. There's no reason to take so many unnecessary risks and risk it getting people hurt, because then it's going to make you look like indie mud show garbage. So again, one of my main issues, like, so much so, this was a fine match, and Harley showed incredible toughness, but just reckless maneuvers, doctors being involved in just a bunch of crazy stuff. Then I thought I lost my mind. The Ops come out for a random trios match, and they're facing some group named the Frat House, which has Preston Vance, Griff Garrison, and Cole Carter. Remember Preston Vance when he was in, LFI, and then obviously the Dark Order as 10? He's resorted to being in a frat house gimmick. Like, this was a WWE gimmick, like, dumbed down like about 7 notches. Like, this is the worst version of Chase U. And it was just an enhancement match that lasted 3 minutes. Admittedly, Samoa Joe is awesome, Hobbs is awesome, Shibata's cool, and they kicked the shit out of him, but that was 3 minutes of my life that I'm never going to get back. It's just, yikes. Then Jamie Hayter gets a really short in-ring segment. We get the debuting Tekla. It's not Thekla, it's Tekla. In one of the worst debuts I've ever seen. We'll talk about this more in depth later. They missed the shot of her debuting in the ring, of attacking Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter unceremoniously gets tossed aside. Like I told you guys, yes, this was not her getting protected against Mercedes Moné. She was just there to job out to Mercedes, give her another win, get her all in. Jamie Hayter's got no future in this division. That was embarrassing. That was bad. Adam Cole, Kyle Fletcher, fine wrestling match with a bullshit DQ finish where Josh Alexander runs in just so we could get to the next match with him and Brody King. Adam Cole on a powerbomb spot that was supposed to go into the apron almost hit the concrete floor. Adam Cole has a history of concussions. For the love of God, take care of your talent. Adam Cole almost got paralyzed there. This guy's career almost ended multiple times in AEW. Stop taking risks. At least they kept this thing hot with a backstage brawl between Fletcher and Adam Cole. And you know what? Listen, I guess I can be okay with a DQ finish because, there was really a no-win situation there. It was too soon for Adam Cole to lose the championship. Kyle Fletcher's lost a ton. So if you do the DQ, it's fine. Maybe you could have justified going to a longer match and potentially doing the the 20-minute time limit draw, but they didn't want to do that. And it just gets them into the next match, which was effectively the main event of the show, Brody King and Josh Alexander, um, which is basically, one of the matches that's going to set up a fatal four-way for Kenny Omega's international championship. Gee, I wonder who's going to win that match. But Josh Alexander gets busted open at the end of this, but much to my surprise, Brody King gets a win. Yeah. Guy from Van Nuys, California, from around my neck of the woods. Brody King finally getting a W. That was positive. Good to see that happen. And Josh Alexander, he's been there for a couple of months. He's just a guy. Another great signing, just buried in the middle. He's with Don Callis, just loses another match. And then we got the main event segment, which was Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. Mercedes tossed about Mercedes really looked. I've seen her pay tribute to Eddie Guerrero, but she showed up in a lowrider in El Paso. Come on. And it just invokes the name of Eddie Guerrero. And it's like, look, nothing that Mercedes has done in the last year feels even authentic anymore. And especially considering all the push and her carrying about 17 different championships and in 6-inch heels. Toni Storm, one thing I loved about this segment, Toni Storm took her heels off and was barefoot, which I thought was hilarious, which just showed you and Toni, as I expected, completely and utterly destroyed Mercedes in this segment. These are two of the best female wrestlers bell to bell, maybe ever. But the differences in character are going to get exposed in the next 6 weeks. And this was just an appetizer to the main course. Mercedes is going to get murdered on the microphone. So if your solution is to listen, this match is going to sell itself for the next 40 plus days, but it's just like the segment felt really incredibly forced. All the fake tension. Toni did her best to make this work, but it's just Mercedes is like fake, like, outraged and like a face. It's so cartoonish. Toni, at least with her gimmick, is leading into this, and that's her character, is that she's timeless. But Mercedes is just trying so hard to act normal or just act like something. And it's just, she said a line in there that, hey, I used to be a boss. Now I'm a CEO. What? Isn't that basically the same thing? She just melted like her 17 different catchphrases, did her dance. She actually almost tripped doing her CEO dance at the end, and the show goes off the air. This was embarrassing. After one of the great segments in Dynamite history, this show proceeded to fall off of a cliff. And if this is what we're going to get for the next 6 weeks, it's like, yeah, you could sell all the tickets you want for All In, but you have got your job, especially with all the outrage about that weekend being booked up with a lot of WWE stuff. Your job is to get outsiders and your own fans interested in it and get more seats sold for Globe Life Field. You did not do a very good job outside of that opening segment. And again, I will say it again. The only solution now, they have made their bet in this. If they go with Jon Moxley, if they have Jon Moxley retain the AEW World Championship and go to Darby Allin, it is one of the biggest insults to the fan base ever. Because now what you're telling me is you're teasing that basically having an Avengers type thing. You're teasing basically having the whole sequence of events happen much like Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40. If Hangman, they're framing it as Hangman being the last guy and being the one to do it. If it's not Hangman, then it ain't going to be anybody. And if it's Darby Allin, it's going to be too late. So that's my takeaways on Dynamite. I'll break off into some other, separate topics to do deeper into this. But those were my cliff notes from this show. This was embarrassing. Like I said, it wasn't good. And they need to be a lot better if they're going to want to, generate even more mainstream interest. Because like I said, there is good wrestling on this show. But then even amidst the good wrestling, there were botches, there were injuries, there was production mistakes. This was just a hot mess of a show. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.